ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो
ओम नमो
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम
ओम
नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो
ओम नमो
भगवते
भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं
नारायणं
नारायणं
नमस्कृत्यं
नमस्तुभ्यं
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
नरं
नरं
चैव
चैव
नरोत्तमं
नरोत्तमं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
देवीं
देवीं सरस्वतीं
सरस्वतीं
व्यासं
व्यासं
ततो जयमुदीरयेत्।
ततो
ततो
जयमुदीरयेत्।
जयमुदीरयेत्।
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु
अभद्रेषु
भद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नित्यं
नित्यं
भागवत
भागवत
सेवया
सेवया
भगवती उत्तमश्लोके
भगवते
भगवते
उत्तम
उत्तमश्लोके
श्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी.
भक्तिर्भवति
भक्तिर्भवति
नैष्टिकी।
नैष्टिकी।
Reading from chapter 18, title Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation, verse number 24. Yattu kamepsuna karma
यत्तु
यत्तु
कामेप्सुना
कामेप्सुना
कर्म
कर्म
sahahankarena vapuna
सा
साहकारेण
अहङ्कारेण
वा
वा
पुनः
पुनः
kriyate bahulasyam
क्रियते
क्रियते
बहुनायासं
बहुलायासं
tadrajasam udhartam.
तद्राजसमुदाहृतम्।
तद्राजसमुदाहृतम्।
Yattu kamepsuna karma
यत्तु
यत्तु
कामेप्सुना
कामेप्सुना
कर्म
कर्म
sahahankarena vapuna
सहङ्कारेण वा
अहङ्कारेण वा
पुनः
पुनः
क्रियते बहुलायासं
क्रियते
क्रियते
बहुनायसं
बहुलायासं
तद्राजसम् उदारतम्.
तद्राजसम्
तद्राजसमुदाहृतम्।
उदाहृतम्।
यत्तु कामेप्सुना कर्म
यत्तु
यत्तु
कामेप्सुना
कामेप्सुना
कर्म
कर्म
सहाङ्कारेण वा पुनः
सा
साहङ्कारेण वा
अहङ्कारेण वा
पुनः
पुनः
क्रियते बहुलायासं
क्रियते
क्रियते
बहुनायसं
बहुलायासं
तद्राजसम् उदारतम्.
तद्राजसम् उदाहृतम्।
तद्राजसमुदाहृतम्।
Anyone wants to lead?
यत्तु कामेप्सुना कर्म
यत्तु
यत्तु
कामेप्सुना
कामेप्सुना
कर्म
कर्म
स अहङ्कारेण वा पुनः
साहङ्कारेण
सहाङ्कारेण
वा
वा
पुनः
पुनः
क्रियते बहुलायासं
क्रियते
क्रियते
बहुनायसम्
बहुलायासं
तद्राजसमुदाहृतम्।
तद्राजसम् उदाहृतम्।
तद्राजसमुदाहृतम्.
यत्तु कामेप्सुना कर्म
यत्तु
यत्तु
कामेप्सुना
कामेप्सुना
कर्म
कर्म
साहङ्कारेण वा पुनः
सा अहङ्कारेण
सहाङ्कारेण
वा
वा
पुनः
पुनः
क्रियते बहुनायसम्
क्रियते
क्रियते
बहुलायासं
बहुलायासं
तद्राजसम् उदाहृतम्।
तद्राजसमुदाहृतम्.
तद्राजसमुदाहृतम्।
Thank you very much. Word by word meaning. Yat, that which.
Yet
that
that
which
which
Tu, but.
तु
to
but
but
Kamapsuna,
kama
कामाप्सुना
ipsuna
by one with desires for fruitive results.
by
by
one with
one
desires
with
for fruitive
desire for
results.
fruitive result.
Karma, work.
Karma
Karma
work.
work.
Sahankarena,
Sa
Sa ahankarena
ahankarena
with ego.
with
with
ego.
ego.
Va, or.
Va or
Va or
Puna, again.
puna
punah
again.
again.
Kriyate,
Kriyate
Kriyate
is performed.
is
is
performed.
performed.
Bahula ayasam,
Bahula
Bahula
ayasam
ayasam
with great labor.
with
with
great labor.
great labor.
Tat, that.
Tat
Tat that.
that
Rajasam,
rajasam
Rajasam
in the mode of passion.
in
in
the
the
mode
mode
of
of
passion.
motion.
Udhartam,
Udarutam
Udarutam
is said to be.
is
is
said
said
to
to
be.
be.
Translation by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Swami Prabhupada ki jai.
Ki jai.
Jai.
But action
But
But
action
action
performed with great effort
perform with great effort
by one seeking to gratify his desires
by one seeking to gratify his desires
and enacted from a sense of false ego
and
and
enacted from a sense
enacted
of
from a
false ego
sense of false ego
is called action in the mode of passion.
is
is
called
called
action in the mode
action
of
in the
passion.
mode of passion.
Om Jnana Timirandasya
Om
Jnana
Jnanatimirandasya
Janashalarkaya
Jnananjanashalakaya
Chakshurmilitam
Yena
Tasmai Sri
Tasmai
Gurave
Sri
Namah.
Gurave
Gurave
Namah
Namo Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam
Manobhishtam
Stapitam Yena
Yena
Bhutale
Bhutale
Swayam
Swayam
Rupa
Rupa
Kada Mahyam
Mahyam
Dadhati
Dadati
Swapadantikam
Swapadantikam
Vandeham
Vandeham
Shri
Shri
Guru
Guru
Sri
Sri
Utpatakamalam
Yuttapadakamlam
Shri
Shri
Guru
Guru
Shri Guru
Vaishnavamscha
Vaishnavamsa
Sri
Sri
Rupam
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 Sagrajatam
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 Sahagana
Sahagana
Raghunathambitam
Raghunathan
Tam
Tam
Vitam
Sajivam
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 Sadvaitam
Sadvaitam
Sadhutam
Sadvaitam
Savadutam
Savadutam
Krishna
Parijana
Parijan
Chaitanya
Saitam
Devam
Saitam
Krishna
Krishna
Sri
Chaitanya
Radha
Chaitanya
Devam
Krishna
Devam
Padam
Sri
Saranam
Sri
Radha
Radha
Krishna
Krishna
Padan Shagana Lalita
Lalita
Shri
Sri
Vishakavatam
Vishakhanvitam
Sha
Cha
He
He
Krishna
Krishna
Karuna
Karuna
Sindhu
Sindhu
Bhakta Kantana
Deenabandhu
Gauranga
Dinabandho
Jaganpate
Jaganpate
Gopesha
Gopesha
Gopika
Gopika
Kanta
Kanta
Radha
Radha
Kanta
Kanta
Namostute
Namostute
Tapta
Tapta
Kanchana
Kanchan
Gaurangi
Gaurangi
Radhe
Radhe
Vrindavaneshwari
Vrindavaneshwari
Vritavanusate
Vrindavanusute
Devi
Devi Pranamami
Pranamami Hari
Hari
Priye
Priye Vancha
Vanchakalpa
Kalpa
Tarubhyacha
Tarubhyacha
Kripa
Krupa
Sindhu
Sindhu
Vacha
Vacha
Patitanam
Patitanam
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namo
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 Jai Shri
Jai Shri
Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu
Prabhu
Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri
Hari
Advaita
Advaita
Gadadhar
Gadadhara
Shiva Shadi
Srivasadi
Gaura Bhakta
Gaur
Vrinda
Bhakta Vrinda
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna Hare
Krishna Hare
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 Hare Rama Hare
Hare
Rama
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 Hare
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 Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannathaya Te Namo. Thank you so much for joining this wonderful Sangha. Now, here, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is continuing his discussion around modes of material nature and how it affects action. So, action in Krishna consciousness in the mode of passion is what the topic of today is. Last time it was action in the mode of goodness. And prior to that, it was intelligence in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. And now it is action in mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. So now we are in the middle of the action angle. Last time we discussed about the mode of action in the mode of goodness, action in mode of goodness. So here, if you see, let me share again so that I stop sharing. It's a beautiful verse where Krishna is focusing on two things. Sa ahankarena. Sa ahankarena means
Itigo.
work which is filled with ahankar, work which is done with. See, whenever you see educational institute or some form of um, you know career counselor, he will say that I put passion in your life. I put passion in your life. When the passion is taken from that situation, if you do it with a lot of ahankar, with a lot of self ego, with a lot of proprietorship, then that passion with that ahankarena, with that ahankar, and bahula ayasam, that means the person does a lot of labor. He's passionate. He has understood the subject and he is puffed up. And with that, he is doing the work. When he is doing the work, he's going to get the result. It's not that he's not going to get the result, but that result will not give him happiness because the sense of happiness lies with lack of anxiety in your lives. If anything which gives us anxiety, that is not happiness. That is absolutely you are craving for something, you are craving for something, you're not getting it, you're not getting it. And that is the anxious moment you spent, it doesn't give you peace because of the ahankara, because of this false ego, which is covering you, which is thinking that you are doing the labor. But think about the labor angle. Like, say, for example, you put a lot of labor into making kheer, for example, and then you're very puffed up that you made the kheer and you put in a lot of labor by going to google.com and trying to find out the best kheer recipe and doing it. But think about behind the scene, to make kheer, you need good milk, good quality milk. Milk comes from cows, and cows are the personalities which are very dear to Lord Krishna. But at the time when you're making payasam, you're not even thinking about where the cows came from and who is the creator of cows and so on and so forth. Excuse me. So, and likewise, when you make kheer, you try to make with the best of the rice, but the rice comes from the field. The field is, carved and cultivated by a farmer who knows the basmati style of farming. And so the milk came and the rice came, and now you have the stove. When you're basically doing the great labor with ahankar, you are basically taking the personalized angle from the equation. You are thinking you are all in all for this. You are not thinking there are contribution of so many people in making this activity successful. You're constantly thinking about your way of doing things. And and what is this mode of passion? And what is it? Yattu kamep suna karma. It is done with kama. Kamep suna karma. That means it is done with worldly desires. It is done with an intent to get the fruits and intake it. And sahankarena vapuna. Ankara means arrogance, thinking that I am the doer, I am the doer. And in the prior verse 17, Krishna says, Yasya nahankarat bhavo, buddhir yasya naliptyate. One who doesn't have any ahankar will not be bound. That means if you have ahankar, you will be bound by the results because you think that you have done it, you have done it, you have done it. So if for some reason the fruits doesn't come, you become frustrated. If the fruits come and you use it up and you have to do more work to get the fruits back, then also you become anxious because you don't know with the second time you'll get the same result like you did for the first time. So there is constant ahankar dealing with the anxiousness of the thing. And now he's talking about sahankarena vapuna. That means a person who is having ahankar, kriyate bahula yasam. Bahula means after great trouble, is doing it, doing it, doing it. He is not really taking or praying or taking help of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Newton saw that the apple fell down and he started going into it, and then he came up with the law of gravity. And later, Newton mentions that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has given me that little intelligence at that point in time that I thought deep about it. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead wouldn't have given me that little intelligence at that point in time, I wouldn't have created or I wouldn't have discovered or invented the law of gravity. So that intelligence at that point in time, a lot of people saw the apple falling. Why did Newton do it? And Newton always have the sense of attitude of gratitude to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to giving that sense of knowledge, intelligence at that point in time. And that is why we have to be thankful for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because He has created this beautiful universe, He has created this beautiful rivers, and we're enjoying it, and we never give the importance to the Supreme Creator, and we think we are the proprietor, and that is why this verse is so critical. Bahula means after great trouble, that which is involving severe labor. He is just working like a donkey, severe labor. So that is referring to Ugra Karma. Ugra Karma can be in passion and also in ignorance, depending on activity and the consciousness in which the activity is done. So, Kriyate Bahulayas, work done in passion and ignorance is not the same, but which is done in passion goes down to ignorance after some time. Because as I said, if the second time the person doesn't have that Bahula energy, Bahulayasam, he doesn't have, and then he may fail for the same work later. And then when he doesn't get it, he will crave for it with an ignorant fool. So if you're doing with a passion, it doesn't take time to go down into the mode of ignorance. You can take the example of Ravana. Ravana, in order to rule this entire universe, he did a lot of hard work. He did a lot of work, and he did so much of hard work that termites started. It is purely for the fruitive nature of seeking to lead the whole world, that this whole world will be mine and I'll be the king. And that's when Indra and so many demigods used to fall at his feet. But he really wants to, he was not satisfied, and he wanted to take over the whole world, and he wanted to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. And he was not. So when the demons were churning the milk ocean, they were constantly doing it. And in doing it, they landed in the mouth of Vasuki's side. When they landed in the mouth of Vasuki's side, all the uh, poison came from the mouth side. Because at the time, you are constantly doing the work like a donkey, and you don't feel the creativity of the inner intelligence, which you would end up doing when you think about what a goodness, how when you are sunken, you can absorb more and more from others. And that is exactly in the work in passion. One drags more and more and doesn't satisfy no matter how much one does. So the crave for that activity becomes so much that he goes down and down and down. So one or two things we have to take from this beautiful verse, that whenever we are doing, we should think that there is some other proprietorship who is actually making me do this work. So that means your ahankar is gone. You have a sense of humility. They say that knowledge with ahankar, gyan with ahankar is agyan. Gyan with humility is begyan. Because with humility you can absorb more and more, and then you become realized that I am not the proprietor. I am just a puppet in the hands of the Supreme, and he's asking me to do so many things. He asked me to come to US, but he has asked me to come to US not to really make money, but to indulge in his service. So that's why even if you come Western bound with the initial intent, but with Krishna consciousness, it becomes transcended into this. So those bhakti is a very subtle activity. It's such a subtle activity that you can, with your consciousness, you can become Krishna conscious and you can become a devotee in no time. And you can just keep working on it. Because, but in the topic of meditation, in the topic of this other yoga practices, you can't turn around immediately. Because surrendering doesn't take time. But with surrendering, you get so much of realization, like Gyan with humility is Vigyan. Vigyan means realization. You see it in action. It's a science. It's a spiritual science. So, so it's a wonderful verse when you think about it. just take this toxic aspect of ahankar out and don't work like a donkey. If you're getting enough to survive and maintain your family, maintain your parents, and stay in the realm of loving Krishna, loving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and serving Him, that is enough. But this passion, if you get into it, that's why you see people will become CEO, and after they get laid off from the position, if the company doesn't do well, there is a very chance that they go up, maybe 1 or 2% go up, but when they go down, they rely, they become so much conscious of position that they fall down to mode of ignorance after some time, and sometimes after that they become indulged in wrong regulated practices which harms them in the long run, and they really cannot come back to a very simple life, high thinking activity. So a lot can be talked here. The mode is controlling us. You've seen that beautiful picture we shared last time, where the three modes are controlling us. I'll share again. And with that, we have to be very careful how not to be controlled in this beautiful. You see this three modes, and through this thread is controlling us all the time, and how we should not let ahankar set in. Once ahankar comes in, we become blind, and however donkey wise we end up working, it doesn't really help us because we cannot observe anything anymore. And that is the reason why never ever so ahankar, we have to kind of uh, decline that and stay away from that and bring humility in our life, in which case action in humility becomes realization, and that will really propel us further. So thank you so much. I'd like to hear more about your reflections about this verse. Thank you so much. Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Any comments, Prabhu?
Just
Any
a
thought?
question, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Obviously means the three modes every human being will go means it will be there even if we are in bhakti also. But just was wondering during the Mahabharat war, right, Prabhuji? So the Pandavas, they were in which mode actually? Means obviously means they are doing a devotional service, but there has to be some mode, right? Nobody can escape any mode because whatever we do in the three modes,
Hmm.
means mode of passion, mode of ignorance. So but even if it is in Krishna consciousness also, so I mean the mode will remain, right? Like even if it is a war, so it has to be a mode of passion, right? You and someone who is a king, so he has to rule the kingdom in not in means not it may not be mode of ignorance, but it has to be mode of passion. But still, devotionally, they can be executing the job. So I I mean I do not know how exactly during the Mahabharat war. So anywhere anything mentioned like that,
Yeah,
Prabhuji. So
yeah.
yeah.
So thank you for the question. It's a very um, thoughtful question. There are two things in this question. First is during the Mahabharat war, there was a situation where inaccurately or incorrectly, unlawfully, Pandavas had to go for exile and incognito, right? And they are entitled for the position because their elder brother was the eldest among all the 105 kids, but it was taken away. So it's unlawful. And they were sent to forest. So when they came back, they asked for 5 villages. So, so the ability to go for the war is triggered because the rights were taken away. And because the rights were taken away, they fought the war, but not with passion, I would say, but with keeping Krishna at the center. So when Krishna is kept at the center and you are fighting a court case, for example, when Krishna is at the center and you are taking all the rules, regulation, laws from the scriptures, then it is, even if you are fired up to win the court case, you are still in the mode of goodness because you are following the laws. So I would say to your question that when Pandavas were following, all of them were under the shelter of the Supreme. So they were always in the mode of goodness. But they fought it because it was an instruction for the Supreme. Because Ramji told Hanuman to locate Sita, he located Sita. He didn't kill Ravana, but he created so much of mayhem that Ravana was fearful of Ramji before even the war was started. So that is the mode of goodness. So in that sense, and like your question around we, right? We are subjected to goodness, passion, ignorance all the time. It is a journey. Sometimes we get puffed up by virtue of something which has happened to us in our lives or something which we have achieved. But that's a race. And this is where we should try to take the example of the shoulder, right? Whenever you go to the shoulder, there are these bumps, right?
Yes.
And you feel sleepy, you go to the sides, and then it gets you awake and you gets comes back. So, so, uh, so we should be alert under a jurisdiction of a Siksha Guru or Diksha Guru, wherein if at all we are uh, swaying, we kind of come back to, and we all are subject to mode of passion, ignorance at different times. It's a, this is where that's why it's a sadhana, and we are practitioners. It's not that we will always be in the mode of goodness. We sometimes, as the day progresses, we feel sleepy. That is nothing but mode of ignorance. But we should try to wake up early, to Mangalarti, so that we come back. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, bro. Any other question or comments? We discussed a lot about Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, who is exalted sannyasi. We pray that he. See, let me share my realization about the senior sannyasis who have become powerful. See, when you play the game of cricket, right, there will be some players, there will be in the on non-striker end. They will just be there. But in light of they being there, and you have 4 wickets to go or 5 wickets to go, from the other side, a good stroke player will come and start hitting. And all of a sudden, you are 300 runs or 400 runs, sizable runs to defend. These personalities, Gopal Krishna Maharaj, Jayapataka Maharaj, and see, they are so powerful preachers. It is good for our movement because people will derive inspiration from them. So it is better for them to stay. But sometimes
Yes.
we should not be very selfish in our, because there's a bit of a suffering we are seeing. So let Krishna do the right thing, but we should always pray that our Gurudev is around us. That's just a comment.
Yeah. So this is actually very unfortunate that the direct disciples means are facing those health issues, but nothing can be done. So
Yeah,
We
exactly.
may
Exactly.
pray.
yeah,
Yeah, we can pray. All of us, let's
yes,
pray in our capacity so that even if he stays for 2, 3 more years,
yeah,
that will give, he is at the peak of his preaching, and recently Gopal Krishna Maharaj was with Narendra Modi, giving him the biggest Bhagavad Gita, biggest size Bhagavad Gita, which is actually in the ISKCON Delhi exhibition. So there's a lot of references in that press communication and photograph, which is etched in many people's memory. So he's very dear to all of us, and hope nothing happens.
Under his guidance, Ahmedabad Center used to sell more than 1 lakh of Gita every year.
My God.
Awesome. Haribol. Haribol. Very nice. Thank you for sharing that, Prabhu. I know, Prabhu, you have a very dear, all of us have a dear interaction with Maharaj. Let's see. Let's see. We all are praying. Let's increase our prayers so that Krishna understands and helps Maharaj. Any other comments before we end? Okay, we'll try to make it quick every Saturday, not to make it longer, to the point, because sometimes in the name of discussion, it should not prolong that you lose your private personal life because you have groceries to do. So we'll try to stick to the point, and if you want some change in format or anything, let us know. But the intent is stay on the point. Krishna's message is very, very powerful. We are just nothing in terms of conveying it. The power is already there. It's just a matter of catching those key areas and discussing it with some examples and getting some reflections, hearing it from the devotees, so that it makes us better practitioners. The intent is we all need to practice better and better every day. So that's why I'm not stretching it longer. 20 minutes, 25 minutes, to the point with examples. But if you want more, we can definitely spend more time. But I would like you to spend time with the family as well. And Bhakti Vriksha should keep the Bhakti Lata bridge sprout properly. Okay, Prabhu?
Okay, Prabhu.
So let's offer obeisance at the lotus feet of all Vaishnavas by saying Vancha Kalpataru Vascha Kripa Sindhu Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Vaishnavinda ki jai. Anantaraj Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari.
Hari Hari.
Hari.